other girl wipes the floor with Isla. Wipes it clean, polishes it too. Hello, welcome back to my bed where I read a new book every hour. That is a gross exaggeration, but I have read a lot this week. I've read 4 books this week. And yeah, 2 of them were children's books, but I was script writing for videos for you. So that's what this video is, right? Right? Now, while it's true I have read 4 books this week, only 2 were for YouTube. 2 were supposed to be for pleasure. You're never gonna believe which 2 books I'm talking about right now. If you read the title or thumbnail, you will know that I am talking about LIGHTLARK. I actually don't know if it has a series name. I only know that the first book is called LIGHTLARK, but that's the most popular one. That's the one everyone knows. It's blowing up. You know? Sometimes when I consume media, I like to take some notes because I feel like it helps me process it better. And if it has a sequel or is a series, I can refer back to that and know what I thought about the original content. For this book, I didn't take any notes. I wrote some stuff down after I finished the second book to try and organize everything I was thinking about this book because it's a lot. It's a lot. I will never have more opinions than about a mediocre piece of media. For those of you who aren't in the know, that's really weird, but I'll tell you what it's about so people don't think you're really lame. LIGHTLARK is about... LIGHTLARK takes place in a kingdom where there are six different kingdoms, okay? We have the Sunlings, and they control like warmth and fire and sun-related stuff. We have the Darklings, who control dark shadow-related stuff. We have the Wildlings, who control nature. We have the Skylings, who can control wind. We have the Moonlings, who can control water. And we have the Starlings that control energy. The Starlings control energy and sparkles. They do sparkles as well. I guess they're really into fireworks. They would love New Year's. Ugh. And I love New Year's too. It's one of my favorite holidays. Maybe I'd be them if I were in LIGHTLARK. A Starling. Yeah, I'm a Starling. All of these kingdoms are connected through one power source on an island called LIGHTLARK. Plot twist though, all of these kingdoms are cursed, okay? They're cursed. They have different curses that affect their kingdoms, and every 100 years, they go to their hometown, an island called LIGHTLARK, and they compete in this game to try and break the curses so that they're not cursed anymore. Our main character, Isla, is a wildling ruler, but our main character, Isla, is the wildling ruler, and the wildlings have a curse where they have to eat hearts. They have to eat the hearts of people to survive. They can't eat normal food. They have to eat hearts because they're like temptresses, so they the curses spun that negatively to eat hearts or whatever. It doesn't. She is actually powerless though. And by being powerless, she's immune to the curses. Miss Isla does not have to eat hearts, but by being powerless, it also means that her guardians lock her up so she doesn't know very much about the world or her people. And she has to go to this centennial to go and fight and whatever. It's much like a modern fantasy book. It's not very original. You kind of get the premise as soon as you start reading. That's not important. What's important is what I think about it. Okay, there's love interests in this one. Yay! The 2 love interests are Oro and Grimm. If you were to ask me, I would say that there's 3. It's Oro, Grimm, and Celeste. But like all novels love to do, they say that Isla and Celeste have a sisterly bond, so we don't ship them together. And also, they made her evil at the end, so it doesn't even matter. But the love interests are Oro and Grimm. And one thing about these love interests is that I just don't give a damn. I'm sorry. I think Isla's relationship to both of them are underdeveloped. Her most developed relationship is to Grimm, and I hate him. I'm Team Oro. Sorry. It feels like being Team Jacob, but I am. Not only are her relationships to these men underdeveloped, but a lot of her language and the vernacular that are used both in her external and internal monologue, and even to a point, their monologue, is the same. Like, it's very hard to differentiate the difference between these two people in her, like, emotional world. The book does a lot of telling, not showing, which makes it a little bit harder for me to understand because if I can't see the work, how am I supposed to understand the answer? You know what I mean? You can't just give me the answer, you have to show the work as well. Like, I just don't feel the emotional depth. Throughout the first book, it's kind of like really high energy. You know, she's going, she's going, she's going, she's worried. She has to hide this secret from all of the rulers. It doesn't really give you a lot of time to sit with the fact that her emotions make no sense. Even so, in the first book, she has an attachment to Grimm that develops very, very quickly. That is kind of explained in the second book, but honestly, I don't really buy it. But even more egregious is Oro and her's relationship because they actually had so much potential. But I'm going to be honest, I enjoyed the first book. I had a really good time reading the first book. That's why I read the second book. And in the second book, that's when I started to notice a lot of issues. This book is incredibly repetitive. Oh my gosh, it is so repetitive. You hear Isla's inner monologue go, "This is what Poppy and Tara trained me for." Her guardians. "This is what I was raised for. I've spent every moment training for this moment." 1 billion times every single chapter. You hear it all the time. You cannot get enough space from this phrase. It is just like crazy overbearing. Can you not think of a better way to describe that she's a good fighter? And that's the thing, is that in the first book, Isla was really good at fighting. She was a warrior. In the second book, they kind of 180. They switched her ass up. She can't fight for shit. I just feel like Isla's characterization, especially from book 1 to book 2, is very, very different, which is very, very strange because one would argue that Isla has more hardships in the first book. You know what I mean? In the first book, we launch in, we're straight into danger. She has to play this political game and also like this power game for her people, and she can't die because her people are tethered to her life force and she has to win so the curses will be broken because if the curses aren't broken, her people are going to die and everyone's going to die. In the second book, for the first part of it, she's just kind of like lollygagging around trying to deal with her trauma, which is another nitpick that I have with it. I feel like a lot of the emotional progression, especially dealing with the harder emotions like trauma-based emotions in this book, exploring that is kind of shortcutted through Isla exploring her power. You know, she in the second book finds out that she has nightshade powers, nightling powers. I think nightshade is a plant. She has nightshade powers, and because they're dark, evil death powers, she explodes them all over the island, and she makes it feel better because it feels like the darkest parts of her are coming out. Isla, you would love Tumblr. You'd love Tumblr in like 2015, 2013. Girl, let me sign you up. I just feel like she never has to deal with anything. She never has to face anything head on. And she makes all of these mistakes and has this internal monologue of like, "I'm so stupid. I've never learned." And it's like, yeah, girl, I know. I'm fucking reading the book. I'm here with you. I'm thinking the same thing. Also, they just keep putting her through a lot of pain. Like, just like more than anyone else. Like, Grimm hardly gets hurt unless it's like a romance ooh-hoo scene. Oro, like, hardly gets hurt. Isla's getting hurt all of the time. Even after she gets powers, she's always hurt. And in the first book, it's established that she is trained to not really react to pain. In the second book, she gets a bunch of glass in her hand. Grimm pours some rubbing alcohol into it, which does hurt, but she's here arching her back, screaming. Screaming. Isla, in the first book, you pulled a bunch of barbs like out of your spine and you cut like a big cut into your hand and put all the blood in fire. Like, and you didn't react to any of that. And rubbing alcohol is what does you in? I don't buy it. Another thing that's inconsistent with Isla is her power scaling. At the end of the first book, she wins all of the power. There was a bunch of power up for grabs that was supposed to make you like the most powerful person in all of the lands, and Isla wins it. And in the second book, she's having struggles learning how to wield that power, which makes sense. I like that. I like that she's struggling because I feel like in a lot of books, the main character is just oh so special and doesn't struggle with that many things. But her power scaling is so inconsistent, and what she can do is so inconsistent. Like, she is supposed to be the most powerful person on their planet. Like, she is supposed to have the most powers out of any known person that they know, the most out of all of them. And there's this scene in the second book where she opens this vault. It's this whole thing. Don't even worry about it. And one of her trainers comes out and just whips her ass. Absolutely whips her ass. And Isa expands all of her power. It's written in a way that it makes you believe that she expands all of this power because she's doing so emotionally. But if she has all of this power, even if she expands it so quickly and is thinking emotionally, she doesn't even get one hit in. Not even one. The other girl wipes the floor with Isla. Wipes it clean. Polishes it too. Like, she wipes her ass. There's another scene where Isla goes into the woods and finds a gigantic snake lady. And the snake lady, like, kind of takes her and puts her underwater. And Isla's like, oh no, I can't use any of my powers to fight back now. She's like, I can't summon vines. When literally, like, earlier in the book, I don't even think, like, that much earlier in the book, she summons vines from nowhere. And also, Isla's supposed to be able to control, like, rock. Are you telling me that there's no, like, earth or metal or anything in this river? Nothing she can reach to, like, fight this snake lady? Even if there was nothing with her wildling powers, she still has her starling powers because at the end of the first book, she stole it from her lesbian best friend's sister. And darkling powers because her dad was a darkling. So it's like, what gives? Like, I know that she's, like, caught off guard, so it's, like, harder for her to focus, but at the same time, she's supposed to be this, like, elite trained warrior. In the first book, they detailed so many, like, extreme training situations. Like, she had to go in the middle of a hurricane and find her way back. She was dangling in a tree for 5 hours and dislocated both of her shoulders and still hung on for another hour. But Snake Lady putting her in some water that's a little bit cold is where Isa draws the line. That's where she's not able to focus. I also feel like we don't get enough time to, like, get to know Oro. Like, most of his scenes, they're actually pretty sweet. I think they use the time that they have with him well. But it's like, you wrote the book, can't you put more time in there? It starts off pretty good in the beginning, but then towards the middle, there's this large chunk where we don't see Oro anymore and we kind of focus on Grimm's memories, which we do kind of need to understand, but at the same time, we got so much Grimm time in the first book. Like, Isla was very conscious of the fact that she loved Grimm in the first book. When Isla found out that she loved Oro, like, she wasn't even conscious of it. We didn't even know. We didn't even get to sit with those thoughts, you know? So we just have, like, way more Grimm time than we have Oro time, which really pisses me off because I don't like Grimm. Grimm betrays Isla twice. At every chance he can betray Isla for, he does. He betrays her, and Isla's like, he betrayed me. But honestly, it just feels like the narrative needs her to be like, he betrayed me, because, like, they do no work together for her to be like, I love him again. She just remembers the past. Like, that doesn't negate the fact that he betrayed you, and the reason you were mad was because your memories were erased. But all of a sudden you love him again? Like, I just don't get it. And also, on the theme of telling, not showing, Oro has one of his friends, and we're introduced to this friend squad where it seems like, oh, we're gonna have new characters, and Isla's finally gonna create interpersonal relationships that aren't the first two men that showed interest to her that she created romantic relationships with. But instead, they're barely in the book. One of them is a Skyling. I don't even remember his name. Yes, I do. I remember it. It's Zed. I know that because it rhymes with my name, Jed. She meets Zed. He's kind of not there for a little bit. We meet Zed again, and she's like, he doesn't like me. And it's like, When did that happen? How do you know that? Like, a very similar thing happens with another one of Oro's friends. I forget her name, but she's basically talking to Isla, and she's like, you know what? I like you, Isla. And Isla's about to be like, me too, before the other girl goes, but I don't like you for Oro, actually. And Isla's like, what? And she's like, yeah, you make him like too emotional. Like, I don't think that that's good for him as a ruler. And most of the examples that we see of that happen after this girl says it. And when those examples happen, Isla points it out to us. It's like a ghost hunting YouTube channel putting 3 red arrows to a blurry figure like we can't see it. Like, we know. We can use our brains. We can use our eyes. I would be a little bit more lenient if it felt like this were made for children, but there's a little bit of spice in this book that I just wouldn't be comfortable with, like, my children reading, you know what I'm saying? But also, like, not even then, because children's media can still be good and not stupid. Like, children's media can still, you know, inspire you to use your brain. Contrary to popular belief, children don't need to be told everything. They can learn. It's like their whole thing. And I just don't like any of these characters very much. Isla, you know, she never says, like, please and thank you unless it's, like, politically advantageous for her. And she has a conscious thought about it. She's like, I will be nice now. Thank you. And it's like, ugh. She's hot-headed. She always runs into situations without even attempting to fully know what's going on for someone who's so inquisitive, which is crazy to me. Oro is like this 2D person just built to love her and be patient, which I don't like. I wish that they fleshed him out more, you know? Grimm has a little bit more to him than Oro. Like, he has more oomph, you know, more of a presence, more of a personality outside of Isla. And that's kind of because we had to, like, crack his shell, which we also had to do for Oro. But for Oro, it's like his shell was like just being emotionless. And they kind of had like an enemies to lovers, whatever. For Grimm, they like give him way more like humanity and depth than they ever gave Oro, which is very strange to me. At least that's how I perceive it. I don't know. I just didn't like it very much. I am currently reading the 3rd one. Thank you for watching. Sorry this video is not super polished. I just made this because it feels a little bit lame to type out 7 paragraphs to my friends when they don't care. They don't care about this book. And honestly, neither do I. The only reason I have this many opinions about it is because it's mediocre. Mediocrity is so much more frustrating than something that is just straight up bad because there's potential, you know? And it kind of sucks to feel the potential be wasted. And it's like, ooh, I almost liked this.
I fart 2 farts in the morning. I fart 2 farts at night. I fart 2 farts in the afternoon. And then I feel alright. I fart 2 farts in times of peace. And fart 2 farts in times of war. I fart 2 farts before I fart 2 farts. And then I fart 2 more.